Nathan Tweedle had this to say: with tartan registration, is there an oversaturation point? I ask this especially with organizational tartans. For instance, I know of a minimum of at least 4 Masonic tartans that have all been registered. Is there such a thing as too many? Can you have too much of a good thing or too much of a mediocre thing?
I think there's actually more than 4 Masonic tartans.
I wouldn't be
know
surprised.
there's at least 2 or 3 lodges that have their own, plus the Grand Lodge of Scotland, plus the Fidelity, plus the Utah, like the universally Masonic-y one. So it's probably like 5 or 6.
I thought Grand
minimum.
Lodge was the
No,
Utah
there's the
one.
Grand Lodge of Scotland, and then
Oh,
the
right,
Grand
right,
Lodge
right.
of Utah,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
the purple
That's
one
the
that kind of
purple one.
became a bit ubiquitous. It depends on your take on it. Are there too many? If you're traditional end of the spectrum, sure, possibly. If you're more is merrier kind of end of the spectrum, then no. And it's also, is it for like, let's use Masonic as the basis for this.
Sure.
No, insofar as it's the symbolism that is given to the tartan, the reason for doing the tartan. So, for instance, there's the regular, the Utah Grand Lodge tartan, which is the regular purple Masonic tartan that everyone knows and loves, who's a Mason. There's one done recently called the Fidelity tartan, which is different. It's for blue lodges. It's for the fidelity aspect of Masonry. So it's for that pillar of their tenets. So if you're going more and more into the weeds or just picking out a particular thing within it that you want to highlight or celebrate, then no, it's fine. That would be kind of my rough take on it, using the Masons as the example.
And there's a sequel to that, but and we discussed this earlier. I think what it comes down to is the old saw of want and usage. You can have lots and lots of different tartans dedicated to, the mountains of Alaska, but a lot of that, they could just sit on the register and nobody ever weaves them because the design is bad. People don't hear about it. There's one that people like better. So through want and usage, certain tartans will become more popular, and those will be the ones that become iconic of whatever thing they're designed to celebrate. They're the ones that will basically become the de facto official, if you will, tartan of the thing. And you might have more than one of those, but it's extremely rare that you're going to have like a bunch. So I don't think oversaturation is an issue because, it's not like you are doomed to forever just look at the tartan register all your life and that's all you see of the world. If it's like, I'm surrounded by Masonic tartans, it's not, that's not how it is. Like, there's more than one firefighter's tartan. There's more than one tartan for firefighters. Ours is the best, but there's 2 out there. Ours and what's her face?
Linda Clifford's.
Glenn Clifford's.
Linda Clifford.
No, Linda Clifford. Sorry, Linda Clifford's and ours, which have become the most known firefighters tartans.
Then there's individual fire departments.
There are lots of departments that have them.
As well.
Yeah, there's probably ones out there, for instance, like fallen firefighters specifically, or firefighters relief charity fund, or whatever. But the ones that become the most famous are the ones that are going to be the most lasting in this case.
Yeah, and yes, and it's one of those where it's the market will decide. The invisible hand of the market will decide which one will survive and which ones won't.
That's what I said.
Understood. But like there was 2, I'm just adding more examples. There are 2 Irish County collections. Only one survived. There are several examples of things like that. There's the Isle of Skye tartan, based on the popularity of Isle of Skye. There has come out with, or somebody came out with the Western Isles tartan. And that one, how many Western Isles kilts have you made, Mac?
0.
Exactly. So it's there are other things that exist, but it's really up to the people, the design itself, and up to the market to decide what is good and what is bad, and what sticks around, as well as the for, at the risk of sounding businessmanish, the marketing power of the people behind the thing. So if one mill, pushes their designs really hard and the other mill just kind of like, They exist. If you want it, get it. If you don't.
There's that.
There's that. If there's, are you an individual promoting your individual design for a thing that you are passionate about, but there's a company or a mill or whatever who's in the industry who has a bigger megaphone than you do talking about this particular thing, there's that as well. So there's all kinds of different forces at play to what has staying power and what doesn't. But that doesn't mean that it's necessarily oversaturated, because anyone can design a tartan, but whether it has staying power is another thing.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Indeed.
So it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
If anything, it can make for interesting reading. And if you go into the register, sometimes you will find like these things you never realized existed. And sometimes you're like, oh, okay, I see why nobody wants to weave that one. But it's still entertaining. It's history. So.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yep.
Cheers. If you're on the email list for the Scottish Register of Tartans, you get 6 or 7 different tartans every single week that are registered. Brand new freaking tartans. So, do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Let me know in the comments. Is there an oversaturation of new tartans? Are people digging in too much and coming up with tartans for random things that shouldn't have a tartan? Or is this just carrying the tradition on and ensuring the legacy of tartan for the world to come?